Hello guys, welcome to my video. My name is Excoundrel. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a Wild Rift content creator who focuses on educational and guide-based content. And so if you're coming from the YouTube homepage or the up next and you've never seen my content before and you enjoy it, if you enjoy it, please feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications. I generally tend to publish every day though, so no pressure on the notifications. But again, only if you enjoy the content. I really want people here who genuinely enjoy what I'm doing. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being here again. Of course, your support means a lot to me, and I'm just really grateful that you kind of enjoy the Wild Rift stuff. And also, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. Apologies if my tongue is a little slow today. As you can see, I'm wrapped in my leather jacket. It's a little cold in the UK, and I did not have the best night's sleep in the world. But I wanted to get this Teemo guide done and dusted, because I know Teemo has just been released, so I know a lot of you will be wondering about how best to play him. Now, there are a couple of ways you can play Teemo in terms of items, and obviously what I do in these guides is I go items, leveling priority, and then we do in-game stuff, looking at some combos and how his abilities work. So we're going to start off with items and runes and spells first, into leveling, into in-game. So firstly, again, I think that the number one item if you're playing AP Teemo, because you can kind of play an on-hit AD Teemo, but I don't think it's as good. If you're playing AP Teemo, the first item you should always go for is Liandry's. Absolutely 100% of the time. The game doesn't recommend that you do that, but honestly, I thoroughly recommend that Liandry's is your first item. Not only do you get loads of ability power and max health, you get in-game damage, so you get in-fight damage that ramps up to 10% after 5 seconds, of which it's very easy to maintain because your poison counts as you being in combat. So if you've got someone poisoned, you're going to start to ramp that damage up. Secondly, your abilities and empowered attacks deal 1% of the target's max health as bonus magic damage over 3 seconds, which is doubled if they're slowed. Teemo's shrooms slow on impact. So if you walk over a Teemo mushroom, it slows the enemy. So they immediately get the empowered Liandry's Torment effect applied to them. Plus the massive amount of damage that those bloody shrooms do. So Liandry's Torment is just like the ultimate item for Teemo, and it should be your first point of call. Second item I would thoroughly recommend is Nash's Tooth. It's going to empower your basic attacks even more, and it just makes Teemo even more deadly in the sense that he's got a quicker basic attack. I'm just going to quickly. He's got a quicker basic attack, and he's able to essentially be much more aggressive in his basic attack trades. I would then recommend Lucidity Boots into the Stasis enchant. You could also go Lucidity Boots into the Quicksilver, but as I would say with Boots, they are always 100% flexible. If you're going up against a lot of AD, don't be afraid to go Ninja Tabi. If you're going up against a lot of AP and crowd control, don't be afraid to go Mercury Treads. Then we have Rabadon's Death Cap. It's just going to empower all of your abilities that much more. I then quite like the idea of Infinity Orb. If you've got a low health enemy that steps over a shroom and they crit for 20% bonus damage, holy moly, they are going to die. It sounds like an insane item for Teemo. And again, that could come earlier in the build. If you don't want to basic attack so much, I would even recommend going Infinity Orb as your second item. So you can actually swap Nash's Tooth with Infinity Orb if you want to. And then obviously Void Staff later on if you've got lots of magic resist to go into. If you don't have a lot of magic resist, there's plenty of other AP items. Pretty much anything works for Teemo, if I'm completely honest with you. In terms of runes, well, there are 2 runes that you can really focus on for Teemo. The first is Electrocute, which is going to give you more burst damage. It's a more aggressive rune in lane. Or you can go for Conqueror, which is going to be for more extended fights. But honestly, I think for the most part, you're more annoying when you're bursting champions with Electrocute. I then think Brutal, Backbone, just the 2 initial early game runes, and because you're going to be a laner, you're looking for Sweet Tooth, easy as you like. And again, Ignite, Flash, generally the two spells that you might consider. You may consider Ghost on Teemo. It's you could go Ghost, Flash if you don't want to run the Ignite, but Ignite just going to help you be a bit more aggressive and take those kills. The other way that you could look at playing is by playing Assassin Mage, and this is kind of doing, basically, is this going to be your Lichbane build or not? And again, Lichbane can come into it. You do have abilities that you can use, such as your roll and your first ability. You don't have abilities that cycle that quickly, though, so I would just be aware that some of Teemo's abilities are a slightly longer cooldown, so Lichbane may not be the best option. But this will give you more on-hit damage. It will give you more burst from your basic attack. It is definitely worth considering. I do think, however, you could swap out Nash's Tooth for Infinity Orb, and in fact, maybe I would suggest if you're going to go Lichbane. In fact, you know what? I'm going to make that call right now. I was considering it before I even started this guide, but I think actually if you're going to go the Lichbane build, you want to go full burst damage. Nash's Tooth is more of sustained damage, is more for sustained damage, whereas I think just if you're going to go Lichbane, it's all about the burst damage, so go for the Infinity Orb. And then there's this weird build at the end, not this one. This one, which, you know, if you want to play Teemo Marksman, he's kind of more about the on-hit. And so Blade of the Ruin King, Infinity Edge, Runan's Hurricane, Rapid Fire Cannon, and then potentially a Nash's Tooth right at the end, or a Leandries as well. Don't think it's good, though. I mean, this is just if you want to try it. I personally, I'd say that this is probably the best build for Teemo. This is also a great build for Teemo as well, and I think you'll see which one kind of works out. But honestly, for the most part, as long as you're going Leandries first on Teemo, you're not going to go wrong that fast. So definitely Leandries should be your primary point of call. So with leveling up Teemo's abilities, it's relatively straightforward. Obviously, you always put a point in his ultimate, then you level up his first ability as a priority, and then his third ability, and then finally his second ability. Why would I recommend leveling up his third ability over his second ability? Well, the only thing that you get from leveling up his second ability is passive movement speed out of combat, which is good, don't get me wrong, but you go from 10% to 25%. 10% movement speed for 1 point is great, keep that in there all the time. But for leveling up the third ability, you get both a stealth duration increase and a massive reduction in the cooldown of the ability, plus you also increase the attack speed that you get coming out of that stealth as well. You just get more for leveling up the third ability over the second ability overall. So I would say first ability, third ability, and then finally your second ability as a priority. So the first ability that we're going to talk about is Teemo's passive, which is Toxic Shot. This used to be an ability that you leveled up on League. It was his third ability, but they've moved it to his passive for Wild Rift. You deal magic damage on impact with your basic attacks, and they deal an additional amount of magic damage over 4 seconds. So basically, Teemo's basic attacks poison you, and they deal damage on impact, and they deal additional magic damage over those 4 seconds, as you can see here. Impact damage, and then it takes damage over time. And again, show you impact damage, and it takes damage over time. Now, consecutive basic attacks do not stack the poison. Essentially, they only reset the duration. So consecutive basic attacks will not increase the amount of poison that you're putting on a target. It will only reset the duration of the last basic attack. So you'll only ever deal 4 seconds worth of damage from the last basic attack that you landed on that champion. Okay, Teemo's first ability is Blinding Dart. Deals flat amount of magic damage, scales with AP, and it blinds the target for 2 seconds. It is a relatively simple ability to get to grips with. It's the ability that you level first because it just gives you the most damage output and increases the blind duration. Attacks from blinded enemies will miss, dealing no damage, and they will fail to apply on-hit effects. It is not counted as a basic attack, however. Some people get confused because it's similar to your basic attack range, and it looks like a basic attack, but it does not count as a basic attack, as I'll show you here. There you go, 110 damage, but it's not applying the passive. But you can basic attack with it very quickly, as I'll show you now. So you can actually basic attack basically at the same time. There's no differentiation between using that ability and basic attacking. So essentially, the very easy way of doing this is just doing that and a basic attack at the same time, and then you deal the extra damage too. So it's almost untradeable because you've got 2 seconds or 1.25 seconds on the first level, but essentially you've got a small amount of time where the enemy cannot trade back with you through basic attacks, and so therefore this makes it a really annoying ability to have to deal with. Alright, Teemo's second ability, Move Quick. It grants 25% movement speed if an enemy, champion or structure has not damaged Teemo within the last 5 seconds. Its active is it rolls a short distance and sprints for 3 seconds. During this time, Move Quick's bonus damage is doubled and cannot be removed by damage. So it's a really good way of getting Teemo out of danger and also repositioning in a fight. The interesting thing to note about Move Quick is as long as Teemo hasn't taken damage, you can still have the increased movement speed. So this only ends when Teemo takes damage. So if you're able to walk up to an enemy and deal damage to them and they actually can't deal any damage back to you, this is still active. And the most important thing to note is it's from towers and champions. So taking damage from minions will not stop the movement speed from Move Quick. So you can just move quick a lot of the time. One of the things to note from the roll is you can roll and you get a big burst of movement speed for 3 seconds that cannot be undone. So it's a really great way of, again, getting out of a gank from lane. And one of the things that made Teemo very weak in PC is that he was very easy to gank. He was very easy to gank in the top lane especially, and he was able to put you're able to put him behind with relative ease. One of the things that I think is going to make Teemo very strong compared to his PC counterpart is the dash. It's a very small dash. It allows you to roll a short way, but dodging a skill shot could be the difference between life or death in the top lane for Teemo, and I think that's going to be a big deal for him. So I think, yeah, an important ability. Clearly, at least having 1 point in it. The cooldown never goes down, by the way. So the more points you put in it, the cooldown doesn't come down. It is always a flat 17 seconds unless you've got some kind of cooldown reduction in your kit with some ability haste. So as long as if you get some ability haste, obviously it's going to impact the cooldown, but for the most part, it stays at 17 seconds until you get that. Okay, third ability, Guerrilla Warfare. After a delay, become camouflaged. Moving outside of a brush for more than 5 seconds, and that's at max level, it's 3 seconds at level 1. Ends this effect. After exiting camouflage, you gain 60% attack speed for 6 seconds. Camouflage. Hide Teemo from champions by keeping them out of Teemo's detection radius. Enemy turrets reveal camouflage units near them. Attacks and offensive abilities end camouflage early. So I'll show you it a couple of times. Takes you a small amount of time to go into stealth, and you can see that the stealth is already dropping off, and you'll notice that my attack speed is increased coming out of the stealth, which is great. I'm just going to pop on 0 cooldowns so that we can do this quickly. If you are, so there's a couple of ways you can do this. If you do this in a brush, you'll notice that the timer does not go down at all. You can stay basically stealthed in a brush forever if you really wanted to. Now, obviously, Teemo's detection radius takes up this entire brush. So if anyone were to walk into this brush, clearly you'd be able to see Teemo. So it feels kind of pointless in that sense. But you can remain hidden in this brush indefinitely with this ability. It only starts to come down when you move out of the brush, as you can see here. And this is me moving into the detection radius of an enemy. You'll notice that it's a little pink exclamation mark comes up above my head, which is really interesting. I don't know if you guys saw that, but okay, let me try that again. Really, really funny thing about this ability is if you're detected, the cooldown doesn't actually go down. So if you get detected, you actually can actually you can actually increase the duration of the exit of camouflage by actually getting detected, which is hilarious. One of the things to note about it is that going into a brush will stop the ending time of the stealth ability whenever you enter the brush. Exiting a brush will continue it from where it left off. Those 5 seconds are cumulative. So again, exiting and entering brushes will essentially stop the cooldown of the ability where it is, and you can tell how much longer you've got left on your stealth ability by looking at the small circle that is basically rotating around the outside of that third ability. That will tell you how long you've got left until you exit stealth. Relatively simple ability in that regard. It's great for outplay potential, and again, another thing that kind of makes Teemo a little bit more interesting to play, because that used to be his passive on the PC version, but now it's an active ability that you can kind of bring into the fight whenever you like. Definitely going to be an interesting one. And again, obviously the obvious thing to do with this particular ability is by surprising people in a brush, either dashing out and then just, you know, slapping them with basic attacks. Essentially as easy as that. So yeah, great ability, good to look at and to potentially find ways to use in the game. Okay, this is one of the I think Teemo's most iconic ability, one of the reasons that people hate this champion. Noxious Trap. Tosses a stored mushroom as a trap that detonates if an enemy steps on it, dealing 200 magic damage plus 30% AP and creating a poisonous puddle that deals 300 magic damage over 3 seconds. Enemies within the puddle are slowed by 60%. Traps last 2 minutes and take 1 second to arm and stealth. Up to 5 traps can be held at once. If a thrown trap lands on another trap, it will bounce up to 5 Teemos further before planting. And 5 Teemos is literally just one, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's basically just 5 Teemo models, which is hilarious. So yeah, the bounce range goes up. The more points you put in it, the slow percentage goes up, as does the base damage. And again, one of the great things about these abilities is they also act as mini wards. They also grant a small amount of vision of the area that they're in. I will show you the bounce. I should put it on him. You'll see here. He'll walk into. Oh, actually, this thing never gets procced by anything. But yeah, what you can do here is you'll notice that there is a slightly grayed out indicator. So it's a light blue indicator showing where you can throw it initially, so you can actually throw these things quite a far distance. But then it's a light blue indicator, sort of a grayed out light blue indicator showing you where you're going to bounce it to if you bounce it on that shroom right there. And at max range, you can see you can see where the indicator ends up is where the new trap is going to end up. The light blue indicator is indicating that I'm currently hovering it over the trap in the brush, and you can see it will bounce there. You can actually do this. You can't actually bounce them twice, I don't think. Oh, you can. You can bounce them twice. Oh wow, you can really make a big old. Oh, that didn't work out. Let's try it again. How far can we bounce these things? We can bounce them forever. That's brilliant. Anyway, yes, you can bounce traps. It's not the most useful thing in the world. It's more useful in teamfight situations. Obviously, there's never going to be a situation where you are bouncing traps like this, obviously. Even though it's hilarious. How far can I get it, though? Oh, I'm having too much fun. Anyway, there's obviously going to be very few situations where this ever becomes a thing. The traps last for 2 minutes in the field. One of the big changes from Teemo's previous setup is that these poisonous clouds, you just need to exit that poisonous cloud, but it's quite difficult to when you're slowed by 60%. Usually you're going to take the damage. But yes, Teemo's poison shrooms are one of the most annoying abilities in the game. And although I had fun bouncing these shrooms all over the place, you really should be looking to place them in strategic locations wherever you can. So again, putting them in brushes is a good idea. Putting them on the entrance to a barren pit is a great idea. Putting them in this pixel brush, great idea. Putting them in this side brush here, great idea. Basically, you get it. It means they're best placed in high footfall locations. So, like this, great place for a Teemo shroom. Here, great place for a Teemo shroom. In front of Dragon, great place for a Teemo shroom. In this brush here, you get the idea. Any high strategic locations, like choke points, for instance, just like put some Teemo shrooms down. Honestly, like they're really annoying to deal with. They are extra wards on the map that deal damage. They have a decent amount of vision that comes with them as well. Obviously, the enemy team can buy sweepers and deal with them, but, you know, a lot of the times, if you're just placing them in strategic locations, you're going to catch someone out. When you have Leandries, they're going to deal an insane amount of damage. So just make sure that you're placing as many Teemo shrooms as physically possible, because, again, they are very, very impactful. They are, like, super strategic, kind of like control abilities, and, of course, you know, they can deal a lot of damage as well. So yeah, that is Teemo. Very simple. There aren't many combos with Teemo. A lot of Teemo's kit revolves around just basic attacking people, queuing basic attacking people, running away, basic attacking people, basic attacking people, running away when things get rough, basic attacking people, yeah, etc. You kind of see where I'm going with this. You can play an AD Teemo using his guerrilla warfare. I think there is a chance to, you know, with the movement speed increase, you can play more of an assassin Teemo coming out. But obviously you're putting yourself in harm's way when you do that. But alas, I think AP Teemo is probably going to be the more played variant of Teemo. He's a bit more oppressive, and his mushroom traps are a bit annoying, more annoying in that sense. Teemo is definitely going to be strong, especially in lower elos. So, you know, get him, start playing with him, see how you do. Oh, and thank you for watching.